All right, get ready, because today we are going to deep dive into newsletters.
Newsletters.
Yeah, newsletters. You know, those things that people think are dead.
Yeah, right.
But they're not. And we are going to tell you why today.
Exactly.
We are breaking down the book, How to Write a Customer Newsletter That Floods Your Business with Cash.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a mouthful.
It is a bit much.
It's a lot, but there's some really good stuff in this book.
Yeah, there are some real gems in there.
Like, even if you already have a newsletter.
Even if you're a pro?
Like, I feel like you could still get some good stuff out of this.
Absolutely.
One of the things I liked right off the bat was how it reframes newsletters as a conversation.
Yeah, that's key.
So it's not just about, like, blasting out promotions and, like...
Yeah, just like, buy this, buy that.
Yeah.
It's like you're nurturing a relationship with your people.
Yeah, but how do you make it feel like a conversation?
Yeah.
Like, most people are just skimming their inboxes, right?
Well, think about, like, Sephora's newsletters. They're not just like, hey, buy this new lipstick. They're giving you beauty tips and, like...
Okay.
trends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like valuable content that keeps people coming back.
So it's more than just like, here's a discount code.
Exactly.
Open this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's about adding value.
Got it.
And, you know, the book stresses like writing in a conversational tone, okay?
Yeah.
Like you're talking to a friend.
Right.
Like nobody wants to read a newsletter that sounds like a textbook.
No, it's got to sound natural.
Yeah, exactly.
But even before you start writing, though,
yes,
the book really emphasizes the importance of knowing your audience.
It's so important.
Yeah, like actually knowing who you are talking to.
Yeah.
And they talk about creating personas, which are basically like
fictional.
Yeah, fictional representations of your ideal customers.
Yeah, so you can really visualize them.
Right, so like their demographics,
Yeah.
their interests, their pain points.
Yeah, what are they struggling with? What do they want to know? What are their hopes and dreams?
Right, and like the better you understand those things,
the better you can tailor your content.
Exactly. So like, say I'm selling eco-friendly cleaning products.
Mm-hmm.
My ideal customer might be somebody like, you know, eco-conscious Emma.
I love that.
Right. She's like
the 30-something.
The 30-something who
wants safe products for her family.
Yeah, and like is passionate about sustainability.
Absolutely.
Wants non-toxic options for their family.
Yeah, so you've got a really clear picture of who you're talking to.
Exactly. And then the book also says, like, don't stop there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, actually do some research.
Yeah.
So, like, look at what they are engaging with on social media.
Yeah.
Or, like, which of your past emails got the most clicks?
What are people actually interested in?
Exactly. And there's this really cool tip in the book that I loved.
Okay, tell me.
You know, polls and feedback requests.
Oh, yeah.
Ask your readers, like, what they actually want.
So simple.
Like, directly just ask.
Yeah, but so many people don't do it. It's such an easy way to tailor your content.
Exactly. It reminds me of the example they had in the book.
Oh, yeah.
About the fitness coach.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
Who, like, started adding in
little health tips.
Yes.
Just, like, sprinkle them in.
Because her audience was, like, you know, busy professionals.
Yeah, who doesn't have time for that?
Yeah, who don't have time for a whole, you know, hour-long workout.
Yeah, we want, like, the quick tips.
Yeah.
The actionable stuff.
So she was like, oh, you want quick health tips? Boom, here you go.
There you go.
So I thought that was super smart.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay, so we know who we are talking to.
Right.
And what they're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But what about, like, the purpose of the newsletter itself?
Right.
Like, why are we sending this out?
Every newsletter needs a goal.
Oh.
Like, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to, you know, get people to buy your new product? Are you trying to get them to read your latest blog post?
Okay.
You know, are you trying to build hype for an event?
So it's not just about, like, sending out random updates.
No, it's got to be strategic.
Okay.
Each newsletter should have a focus.
Okay.
And everything from your content to, like, your call to action should, like, lead people towards that goal.
So, like, for example, if I wanted to boost, like, weekend brunch traffic at my cafe.
Okay, yeah.
I might send out a newsletter.
With pictures of pancakes?
Yes, exactly. With, like, beautiful pictures.
Mouth-watering.
And, like, my delicious new pancake recipe.
Yes, and then a call to action, like, reserve your table.
Yes, exactly. So you're not just sharing information, you're actually, like, strategically getting people to.
Yeah, getting them towards an action.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we've got our audience. We've got our goal.
Mm-hmm.
How do we structure the content itself?
Yeah, this is where it gets fun.
Okay.
You gotta grab the reader's attention right away.
Okay.
So think like a compelling story or like an exciting announcement.
Okay, so like no burying the lead?
No, get right to it.
Okay, then what?
Then you break down the rest of the content into these like clear, easy to digest sections.
Okay.
So the book recommends like an intro,
Okay.
a main content section where you're like delivering on the promise of your headline.
Okay.
And then like a value add section, maybe like a free download or an exclusive tip.
Okay.
And then like a closing note just to like wrap things up.
So it's organized.
Yeah.
But it's not like too rigid.
No, it's got a flow.
Yeah, okay.
Think about like those Nike newsletters.
Okay.
They always start with like this really cool story or like a product feature.
Right.
And then they give you like styling tips.
Okay.
And then it's like, boom, shop the collection.
Yeah, so it's like they use this formula that works.
Yeah. It's tried and true.
But people are busy.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to read every single word of every email.
Nope. They're skimming.
So how do we make it scannable?
Yeah. This is key.
Like, give them permission to skim.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Short paragraphs,
Okay.
bullet points, subheadings.
Yeah.
Anything that makes it easy for people to find what they're looking for.
And speaking of grabbing attention headlines.
Headlines.
Wow, we write good headlines.
Yeah, they're like mini billboards
Okay.
for each section of your newsletter.
Okay.
So they need to be specific, intriguing. You
Yeah.
gotta make people want to read more.
So 3 secrets to growing lush indoor plants is better than monthly updates.
Way better.
Yeah.
It's gotta promise value
Okay.
and pique their curiosity.
All right, we've talked about words, but what about the visuals?
Yes, visual.
Because it's more than just text on a screen, right?
It's gotta be pretty, Pete.
Yeah.
People are visual creatures.
So how do we make it visually appealing without, like, overwhelming people?
It's about balance,
Right.
you know. The book suggests sticking to a clean, simple design
Okay.
that reflects your brand, you know, your aesthetic.
Okay.
Use colors and fonts that are easy on the eyes.
Right.
High quality images that enhance the content, not distract from it.
Okay.
So like if I'm a skincare brand,
Yeah.
that's all about like purity and quality.
Okay.
You know, I might use a lot of white space,
Yeah.
clean lines, close-up shots of the products against a clean background.
So that white space is really important.
Yeah, it keeps things from feeling cluttered
Yeah, for sure.
and overwhelming.
Yeah.
Gives your eyes a break.
And I feel like consistency is important.
So important.
With the branding, like my newsletter should look like it belongs to the same brand as like my website and my social media.
Yes, exactly. It's all part of the same brand experience.
So like even before they see the logo,
yeah, they should recognize you.
they know it's you.
Yeah, like you've got your visual signature.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got design, but what about the timing?
Timing is everything.
Like when should we actually hit send?
Yeah, when's the best time?
Yeah.
Well, the book recommends finding a rhythm
Okay.
that works for both you and your audience. Like you don't want to bombard people,
Right.
but you also don't want to like disappear for weeks.
Right.
So you got to find that sweet spot.
So what's a good starting point?
I mean, most businesses start with like weekly or bi-weekly.
Right.
And a lot of people say Tuesday and Thursday mornings are the best.
Okay.
But honestly, it depends on your audience.
So it's like a florist might find Friday mornings are better
Totally.
because people are planning their weekend.
Exactly.
Whereas like a travel company might send theirs out like the beginning of the month
Yeah.
with like travel tips and deals.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's also about knowing your audience and their habits.
Yeah. And they say, don't be afraid to A/B test.
Oh, yeah. A/B testing is your friend.
Yeah. To see what gets better open rates.
Exactly. You got to experiment.
Okay. Let's recap what we've talked about so far.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we talked about understanding your audience
Yes.
and creating those personas.
Yes. Love the personas.
Setting a clear goal.
Every newsletter needs a goal.
Yeah. And aligning your call to action with that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Structuring your content in a way that is both engaging and scannable.
Keep it snappy.
With those good headlines.
Yes.
And making sure your design is visually appealing.
And on brand.
On brand.
Yeah.
And consistent.
Yes.
And then finding the right sending cadence.
Yes.
And experimenting.
Always experimenting.
Okay, that was a lot.
It was a lot.
But the book actually gives us a really good checklist and a cheat sheet.
Oh, yeah. Let's dive into those.
Yeah.
See what other golden nuggets we can find.
Okay, so it starts with defining your audience, which we've already talked about extensively.
Yeah.
But it's worth reiterating.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't build a house without a foundation.
Yeah, you can't build a successful newsletter without knowing who you are talking to.
Exactly.
So next up on the checklist, we have set a clear goal. which again, we've talked about.
Yeah.
But, it's easy to get caught up in the creative process and kind of like lose sight
Totally.
of why you were sending it.
Yeah.
So it's like, why am I sending this? What do I want people to do after they read this?
Right.
Like whether it's driving sales or promoting engagement.
I'm educating them.
Yeah, like that goal needs to be front and center.
Absolutely.
Third point on the checklist
Okay.
is outline content.
Mm-hmm.
And this reminds us to think about the flow and structure of the newsletter
Yes.
before we even start writing.
Yeah. Have a plan.
Yeah. Are we starting strong? Are the sections clearly defined and easy to navigate?
It's like a roadmap.
Yes, like a roadmap for your readers so they don't get lost.
Exactly.
Then we have write engaging headlines.
Oh, yes. We love headlines.
This is all about grabbing the reader's attention.
Yeah. Make them want to click.
And enticing them to keep reading.
But the headline needs to deliver.
Yeah. No clickbait.
No clickbait.
Be honest, be specific.
Yeah.
Add visual appeal.
Okay.
That's next on our checklist.
Mm-hmm.
This is a reminder to think about, the colors, the fonts,
The images.
the white space.
White space is your friend.
Yes, it is.
Don't be afraid of it.
So it's like finding that balance between, visual interest
Yeah.
and readability.
You don't want it to be too cluttered,
Right.
but you also don't want it to be boring.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Review and edit.
Oh, yes.
Can't forget that crucial step.
Always proofread.
Yeah, proofread, check for grammar.
Tone, readability.
You want your newsletter to be polished and professional.
Absolutely.
Free of typos and awkward phrasing.
It's amazing how one little typo can just totally ruin your credibility.
Yeah, take the time to review and refine before you hit send.
Yes, always.
Choose the schedule.
Okay.
This encourages us to think about, the frequency and the timing of our newsletters.
So how often are you sending it?
Yeah, do we want to send it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly?
And what days and times work best?
Yeah, for our target audience.
It's about finding that sweet spot, where you are staying top of mind, but not annoying people.
Yeah. And finally, the checklist ends with measure success.
Okay.
And this is something that I find interesting that the book doesn't dive too deeply into.
Yeah, it's true.
It really focuses more on the creative and strategic aspects of creating the newsletter.
Yeah.
But it doesn't spend a lot of time talking about the analytics.
The numbers.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a shame because
it's important.
It's really important to know.
Yeah. You got to know what's working.
If it's actually working.
And what's not.
Yeah.
You don't want to just be sending these things out into the void.
Right. So we need to be tracking key metrics.
Yes.
To see if our newsletters are actually achieving their goals.
I think that's a perfect place to transition into talking about some of those metrics.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
All right. So first up, we've got open rates.
Open rates.
Yeah. This tells you what percentage of people who received your newsletter actually opened it.
So a high open rate means that people are at least intrigued enough.
Yeah. By your subject line.
Yeah. To open the email.
To at least take a peek.
Yeah, okay.
But a low open rate could mean that your subject lines aren't compelling enough.
Yeah.
Or that you're sending to the wrong people.
So maybe you need to refine your list a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay, so people are opening my emails. How do I know if they're actually reading it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's where click-through rates come in.
Oh, okay.
So this tracks how many people are actually clicking on the links within your newsletter.
So if I'm promoting a blog post or a special offer, a high click-through rate means people are interested enough to learn more.
Or to take you up on that offer.
Yeah, so it shows that the content is resonating.
Yeah.
And that I'm effectively driving traffic.
To where you want them to go.
Yes, to where I want them to go. Okay.
Yeah.
Open rates, click-through rates.
Got it.
But how do we measure the overall impact on our website traffic?
Ah, yes.
Is it actually working?
So you can use analytics tools to see how much traffic is coming from your newsletter.
Oh, so if I see a spike in website visits after I send out my newsletter, that's a good sign.
That means it's working.
Yeah.
It's driving traffic.
And that's hopefully leading to conversions.
Exactly. And speaking of conversions,
yes,
you can track how many sales or signups can be attributed to your newsletter.
So if someone clicks a link in my newsletter, goes to my product page, buys something, I can see that conversion came from my newsletter.
Exactly. It's like a little trail of breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
You can follow them.
Okay, so we've got open rates, click-through rates, website traffic conversions.
Yeah.
Are there any other metrics we should be looking at?
Depending on your goals, you might also want to look at things like social shares.
Okay.
Unsubscribe rates.
Yeah.
Or even just customer feedback.
Okay, so social shares are interesting because it kind of shows how much your content is resonating.
Yeah, are people sharing it?
Yeah, are they willing to share it with their own network?
Yeah, does it spark conversation?
Yeah, and unsubscribe rates. I mean,
Yeah.
high unsubscribe rate could be a bad thing.
Could be, but not always.
But not always, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people's interests just change.
Yeah. Or they are just overwhelmed.
Yeah, like, I get so many emails.
Everyone's inbox is overflowing.
Yeah, so it's natural for your subscriber list to fluctuate.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And you can't forget about that qualitative feedback.
No, that's so valuable.
Yeah, like encourage people to reply to your newsletter.
Yeah.
With their thoughts, their suggestions.
Even just a hello.
Yeah, just to say hi.
Yeah.
And that direct feedback can be so valuable.
Because it gives you insight.
Yeah, to know what your audience actually wants.
Yeah, what they like, what they don't like.
Yeah, what they want more of.
What they wish you would stop doing.
So it's all about that continuous improvement.
Yeah.
You know?
Analyze, gather feedback, and then make adjustments.
Yeah. So what does all this mean for our listeners?
It means don't just send your newsletters out into the void.
Track those metrics.
Yeah, you got to track the data.
To make sure it's actually working.
Yeah.
And to understand your audience.
You got to know your audience.
And how your newsletter is actually contributing to your business goals.
And remember,
yes,
the book gives us a great foundation for creating compelling newsletters.
Right.
But the real magic happens when you combine that knowledge with the data and a willingness to experiment.
Yeah, so it's like that perfect blend of creativity and analytics.
A sweet spot.
Okay, I like that. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that the book touches upon.
Okay.
But doesn't really explore in detail, and that is the legal side of newsletters.
Ooh, yes, the legal stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone getting in trouble.
No, we don't want anyone to get sued.
No.
So the book mentions, like, complying with the anti-spam laws, like the Can-Spam Act here at the United States.
Yes, very important.
And I think it's worth reminding our listeners that, like, these laws exist to protect consumers from unwanted emails. Like, nobody likes being bombarded with spam.
No, it's the worst.
So let's break down some of the things to keep in mind
Okay.
when it comes to staying on the right side of the law.
All right, so the Can-Spam Act outlines a bunch of requirements for commercial emails.
Okay.
Including having a clear unsubscribe mechanism.
So make sure your unsubscribe button is easy to find.
Yes.
And that you actually honor those requests promptly.
Don't try to trick people into staying.
Yeah.
If they want to leave, let them leave.
Yeah.
Another thing is you got to include your physical mailing address.
Oh.
In your emails.
Yeah.
This helps establish legitimacy.
Yeah, like you are a real business.
Yeah.
Not just some shady operation.
Exactly. Transparency is key.
And be mindful of your subject lines.
Yes.
Like, avoid using deceptive or misleading subject lines.
Clickbait.
Right.
Be upfront about what your newsletter's about.
Yeah. And even though the book doesn't talk about GDPR in detail, it's important for anyone with subscribers in the European Union.
Yes. If you have EU subscribers, you got to be aware of GDPR.
So GDPR is all about protecting personal data and giving individuals more control over how their information is used.
Exactly.
So basically, if you have EU subscribers, you need to make sure that you're obtaining explicit consent to send them marketing emails.
So no shady stuff.
Yeah, no shady stuff, and handle their data responsibly.
Yeah, be respectful.
And there are a lot of resources available to help you navigate this stuff.
Absolutely.
Don't let the legal stuff scare you.
It's not that scary.
Just be informed and do things the right way.
Yeah, cover your bases.
Okay, let's move on to something a little more fun.
Yeah, please.
Trends and innovations in the newsletter space.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
Yeah, because the world of newsletters is constantly evolving.
Always changing.
So, like, one trend I've noticed is personalized newsletters.
Oh, yes. Personalization is huge.
Instead of sending out like a generic blast to everybody.
Right. Segment your audience.
Yeah. And tailor the content.
Yes.
So it's like getting a newsletter that feels like it was made just for you.
Yeah. Curated just for you.
Yeah. That's the power of personalization.
It makes people feel special.
It makes people feel seen.
Yeah.
What other trends are you seeing?
I'm also seeing a lot of interactive elements.
Okay, yeah.
Like polls, quizzes, GIFs.
Oh, yeah.
Even embedded videos.
Cool.
So it's not just static text anymore.
It's about making it an experience.
Yeah, bringing it to life.
Yeah, and those interactive elements can also, like, help you gather data.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
About your audience.
See what they're clicking on.
Yeah.
What they're interested in.
Yeah, I've also seen a lot of newsletters experimenting with different formats and layouts.
Yeah.
It's not just that boring text-heavy newsletter anymore.
Nope, people are getting creative.
People are getting creative with
Yeah.
visuals, typography, storytelling.
It's like a mini magazine.
Yeah.
Just for your audience.
So, okay, we've got personalization, interactive elements, innovative formats.
Yeah.
What else is on your radar?
One that's gaining some traction is the slow newsletter.
The slow newsletter.
Yeah. Have you heard of this?
Tell me more.
So it's kind of a reaction to like the constant barrage of information.
Okay.
We're all just bombarded all the time.
Yes, we are.
So slow newsletters are about delivering thoughtful, curated content at a more leisurely pace.
So instead of like bombarding people multiple times a week,
Right.
you might send out like one really high quality newsletter once a month.
Exactly. Quality over quantity.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air in your inbox.
And it aligns with our learner persona.
Totally.
Who values like in-depth knowledge, meaningful connections.
It's about respecting your reader's time.
Yes.
And attention.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the legal stuff.
The boring but important stuff.
Yeah.
To the fun trends and innovations.
Yeah, so we talked about creating compelling content.
Optimizing for engagement.
Tracking those metrics. And staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
With emerging best practices.
I think our listeners are now well equipped to go forth and create amazing newsletters.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So we've talked about all the cool things you can do with newsletters, but like where do they fit in your overall marketing strategy?
That's a great question.
Yeah, because it's not like they exist in a vacuum.
No, there's just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, so think of your newsletter
as like a key player on your marketing dream team.
I like that.
Alongside your website, social media.
Content marketing.
Yeah, all the other channels you're using.
So how do we make sure all those players are working together smoothly? Yeah. Like I'm picturing like a well-choreographed dance with each channel like supporting the others.
Yeah, cross-promotion is key.
Okay.
So use your newsletter to like point people towards your social media. Hype up a new blog post, announce a flash sale on your website.
Okay.
You know?
And vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Sprinkle those newsletter sign-up calls to action.
Yes.
Everywhere.
On your website, on your social media.
Even like in your physical store.
If you have one.
Yeah. Cast a wide net.
It's all about creating this like interconnected web of touch points.
Okay.
Each one reinforcing your brand.
Right.
And guiding people towards your goal.
Whether that's a purchase or an email sign-up or just like...
brand loyalty.
Yeah, building that brand loyalty.
Yeah, making people love you.
What about the overall vibe, though?
Oh, yeah.
Like, should my newsletter sound like my Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Consistency is key.
Okay.
So think of your brand as a person.
Okay.
They have their own unique voice and style.
Right.
A way of being in the world. Your newsletter, your website, your social media.
Yeah.
They are all just like different expressions
right.
of that same personality.
So it's like having a personal brand.
But for a business.
Yeah. People should be able to recognize you.
Yeah, no matter where they see you.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the power of stories either.
Stories are so powerful.
Yeah.
They make you relatable.
So like customer testimonials, behind the scenes peeks at your process.
Or even like a funny anecdote.
Yeah.
About a business mishap.
Yeah. Those are always fun.
People love those.
Yeah. They make you human.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is you can like repurpose those stories.
Oh, yeah.
Across all your channels.
Tell it on your blog.
Yeah.
Share it on Instagram. Weave it into your newsletter.
Yeah. So it creates this like multi-layered narrative.
Yeah. And it reinforces the message.
It's all about crafting that like holistic brand experience.
Yes.
Right.
Make people feel like they are getting to know you.
Connecting with your values.
And trusting you.
Yeah. Okay. Before we wrap up.
Okay.
One last thought.
Okay. Hit me.
The book gave us all this great advice on creating awesome newsletters, but it didn't really talk about how to measure their success.
Ah, yes. How do you know if it's actually working?
Yeah, like how do you know if it's hitting the mark?
Well, it depends on your goals.
Right.
But some metrics are like universally helpful.
Okay.
So open rates tell you how enticing your subject lines are.
Right.
Click-through rates tell you what content people are actually interested in.
Yeah, what they are clicking on.
And website traffic shows you how effectively your newsletter is actually driving people.
To your website.
To your website.
Yeah. And you can even track sales or conversions that are linked to your newsletter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like being a detective.
Yeah.
You can see the path.
Follow the breadcrumbs.
You trust.
Data is our friend.
Data is your friend.
It helps us refine our approach, understand our audience.
And create newsletters that actually work.
Yeah, don't be afraid to experiment.
Never be afraid to experiment.
Different formats.
Content sending times.
Yeah, see what works best for you.
For your unique audience.
Yeah.
All right, as we close out our deep dive,
Yes.
I just want to say this. Don't let your newsletters be an afterthought.
No, they are important.
They are a powerful tool.
For building relationships.
Showcasing your expertise.
Driving business growth.
So treat them with the care and attention they deserve.
And they will reward you.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of this deep dive.
It's been a journey
into the world of newsletters.
I feel like we've learned so much.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
And maybe a little bit entertaining.
Remember to subscribe for more deep dives.
And to all sorts of fascinating topics.
Until next time, happy learning.